The massive space station called Nexus Prime hung in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than most cities on Earth. Ships from 12 different alien races docked at its many ports. The station buzzed with activity as beings from across the galaxy gathered for what many hoped would be an important meeting. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through the main corridor of the station. Her shoes clicked against the metal floor as she moved past groups of alien diplomats. Some looked like giant insects with too many eyes. Others were tall and thin with blue skin that seemed to glow. A few looked almost human but with extra arms or strange-colored hair. Elena was not impressed by any of them. She had seen enough aliens in her 5 years as Earth's top diplomat to know that underneath all their different looks, they were not so different from humans. They wanted power. They wanted control. And right now they wanted to put humanity in its place. The peace talks had been called after a small fight between human ships and the Zephyrian Empire near the border of human space. 3 human ships had been destroyed. 50 crew members were dead. The Zephyrians claimed the humans attacked first. The humans said the Zephyrians were trying to steal resources from a human mining station. Elena knew the truth did not matter. This meeting was not really about peace. It was about fear. The other races were scared of how fast humanity was growing. In just 50 years since first contact, humans had built colonies on 30 worlds. Human ships were faster than most alien ships. Human weapons were getting better every year, and humans bred much faster than any other known species. She entered the main meeting hall. It was a huge room with a dome ceiling that showed the stars outside. 12 seats were arranged in a circle. Each seat was built for a different type of alien body. The human seat looked small compared to the others. Elena knew this was done on purpose. The Zephyrian ambassador was already there. His name was Kethvar, and he looked like a 7-foot-tall lizard wearing fancy robes. His yellow eyes watched Elena as she sat down. She could see hatred in those eyes. The Zephyrians had been the strongest military power in this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. Now humans were challenging that power. One by one, the other ambassadors arrived. There was Ambassador Thren from the Crystalline Collective. Her body was made of living crystal that changed colors when she moved. Ambassador Mox represented the hive mind of Kepler 442. He looked like a walking tree with dozens of small heads growing from his branches. The last to arrive was Chancellor Vorth from the Galactic Council. He was a Nexari, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. The Nexari looked like humans but were taller and had gray skin. They claimed to be the wise leaders of galactic civilization. Elena thought they were just old and scared of change. Chancellor Vorth stood up to begin the meeting. His voice was deep and carried well in the large room. "We gathered today because of a dangerous situation," he said. "The conflict between the Zephyrian Empire and the Terran Federation threatens peace in our galaxy. We must find a solution before this small problem becomes a big war." Elena almost laughed. A small problem? 50 dead humans was not small to her. Kethvar spoke next. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "The humans attacked our patrol ships without warning. They are becoming too aggressive. They take resources that do not belong to them. They build weapons that violate our treaties. The Zephyrian Empire demands that the Galactic Council take action." Elena stood up. "That is a lie, and you know it. Your ships were in human space. They were stealing from our mining operation. Our ships only fired when your ships opened fire first." "You have no proof of this," Kethvar hissed. "I have the ship logs from both human vessels that survived," Elena replied. "I have sensor readings. I have communications between our ships and your ships. Your commander ordered the attack." Chancellor Vorth held up his hand. "We will review all evidence later. For now, we must discuss the bigger picture. The rapid expansion of humanity is causing concern among many species. Perhaps it is time to consider limits on human growth." Elena felt her blood get hot. "Limits? What kind of limits?" Ambassador Thren's crystal body flashed red as she spoke. "Humans reproduce too quickly. Your population grows faster than any other species. This is not natural. It upsets the balance of the galaxy. Maybe you should try having more children instead of telling us to have fewer," Elena said. Ambassador Mox spoke with many voices at once, all coming from his different heads. "Humans also build weapons too fast. Your military technology advances at a dangerous rate. Other species need time to adapt. You should slow down your research." Elena looked around the room. She could see what was happening. These aliens had planned this. They were using the border fight as an excuse to try to control humanity. They wanted to keep humans weak and small. "Let me understand this," Elena said. "You want us to have fewer children? You want us to stop improving our technology? What else? Should we ask permission before we breathe?" Chancellor Vorth's gray face showed no emotion. "We want humans to be responsible members of the galactic community. That means accepting certain rules and limits. Rules that apply only to humans? Rules that apply to species that threaten the peace." Elena walked to the center of the circle. She looked at each alien ambassador. "Humanity has never started a war with any of your species. We have honored every treaty we signed. We have traded fairly with all of you. We have even helped some of you fight your own enemies. And this is how you repay us?" Kethvar stood up, his huge form towering over Elena. "Humans are too dangerous to be left alone. Your species has a history of violence. On your own world, you fought constant wars. You destroyed your environment. You cannot be trusted with the power you are gaining." Elena smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "You know what I think? I think you are scared. All of you. For thousands of years, you have controlled this galaxy. You decided who could build what. You decided who could go where. You decided who was important and who was not. Now humans are here and we do not ask permission. We just do what we need to do. And that terrifies you." The room was quiet for a long moment. Elena could hear the hum of the station's engines. She could hear the soft breathing of the aliens around her. Finally, Chancellor Vorth spoke. "The Galactic Council has already discussed this situation. We have reached a decision. Humanity must agree to limit its expansion to its current territory. Human colonies beyond your current borders must be abandoned. Human military ships must be reduced by 50%. Human research into advanced weapons must stop. If humanity agrees to these terms, we will consider this matter closed." Elena stared at him. "And if we refuse?" "Then the Galactic Council will take whatever action is necessary to protect the peace of the galaxy." Elena looked around the room again. She saw 12 alien species that thought they could bully humanity into submission. They thought humans would bow down and accept their demands. They thought humans were just another weak species that could be controlled. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "I need to communicate with Earth," Elena said. "The Terran Federation will give you our answer tomorrow." Chancellor Vorth nodded. "Very well. But do not take too long. The Council's patience is not unlimited." Elena walked out of the meeting hall. Her mind was already working on the message she would send to Earth. She thought about the faces of the 50 crew members who had died in the border fight. She thought about the thousands of human families living on the colonies these aliens wanted to abandon. As she walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime, Elena passed groups of alien beings. Some pointed at her and whispered to each other. Word of the meeting was already spreading. They all thought they knew what would happen next. They thought humanity would have no choice but to accept the Council's demands. Elena reached her quarters and sat down at her communication desk. She began typing a message to Earth. But first she sent a different message. It went to a seemingly innocent human merchant ship that was currently docked at Nexus Prime. The message was only 3 words long. "Execute Protocol 7. Across the galaxy, similar messages were being sent to other human merchant ships. Ships that were not exactly what they seemed to be. Ships that had been waiting for this moment for months. The aliens thought they had humanity trapped. They thought humans had no choice but to surrender. Tomorrow they would learn the difference between human diplomacy and human warfare, and Elena was going to enjoy watching their faces when they realized their mistake. Elena Vasquez did not sleep well that night. She kept thinking about the message she had sent to Earth and the other message she had sent to Captain Harrison on the merchant ship. Both messages would change everything. But first she had to get through one more day of lies and threats. The second day of talks began early. Elena arrived at the meeting hall to find that something had changed. There were now guards at every entrance, big armored aliens carrying weapons. Chancellor Vorth claimed they were for everyone's protection, but Elena knew better. The Council was making sure no one could leave until they got what they wanted. Elena took her seat and looked around the room. The alien ambassadors looked confident today. They thought they had humanity trapped. Kethvar was actually smiling, showing his sharp teeth. Chancellor Vorth stood up to begin the day's session. "Ambassador Vasquez, has the Terran Federation considered our proposal?" "We have," Elena replied. But before I give you our answer, I think there are some things this council needs to know about the border incident. She pulled out a datapad and placed it on the table in front of her. These are the complete sensor logs from the human mining station. They show Zephyrian ships entering human space and attacking our mining equipment. They also show our patrol ships trying to communicate before any shots were fired. Kethvar hissed. Human technology is known to be unreliable. These logs could be fake. Then let's look at something else. Elena touched her datapad, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the space around the mining station. Red dots marked Zephyrian ships. Blue dots marked human ships. This is from our defense satellites. It clearly shows your ships firing first. Ambassador Thren's crystal body flashed yellow. The Galactic Council has already reviewed this evidence. We find it questionable. Elena stared at her. Questionable? What exactly is questionable about video evidence? Chancellor Vorth waved his hand and the hologram disappeared. The Council has made its decision based on all available information. The evidence you present does not change our conclusion. Elena felt a cold anger growing in her chest. They were not even pretending to be fair anymore. So you've already decided we're guilty. This whole meeting is just for show. The Council's decision is final, Chancellor Vorth said. Now what is humanity's answer to our proposal? Elena was about to respond when Kethvar stood up again. He was holding his own datapad, and he looked very pleased with himself. Before the humans give their answer, he said, the Zephyrian Empire has new evidence to present. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. This was not planned. Something bad was about to happen. Kethvar touched his datapad and new images appeared in the room. They showed human ships attacking a Zephyrian colony. Elena could see explosions and burning buildings. She could see Zephyrian civilians running for their lives. This is what humans do when they think no one is watching, Kethvar said. 3 days ago, human raiders attacked the peaceful colony of Zeph Minor. Hundreds of innocent civilians were killed. This is proof that humanity is a threat to all civilized species. Elena jumped to her feet. That's impossible. No human ships were anywhere near Zeph Minor 3 days ago. Are you sure? Kethvar smiled his terrible smile. Perhaps your own government does not tell you everything, Ambassador. Elena looked at the images again. They did look real. The human ships in the video had the right design. They even had human markings on their hulls. But she knew this was impossible. She knew where every human military ship was at all times. This evidence is fake, she said. Can you prove that? Asked Ambassador Mox, his many heads turning to look at her. Elena realized she was trapped. She could not prove the evidence was fake without revealing classified information about human ship movements. And even if she did reveal that information, the Council would probably claim it was also fake. Chancellor Vorth looked at Elena with what might have been pity. In light of this new evidence, the Council must reconsider its proposal. The terms we offered yesterday were too generous. Elena's heart sank. What are you saying? We are saying that humanity is clearly too dangerous to be allowed any freedom at all. Chancellor Vorth's voice was cold now. The new terms are simple. All human colonies outside the Sol system must be abandoned immediately. All human military ships must be surrendered to the Galactic Council. Earth will be placed under Council supervision to ensure compliance. Elena could not believe what she was hearing. You want us to abandon 30 colonies? You want us to give up our entire fleet? You want to occupy Earth? We want to prevent a galactic war, said Ambassador Thren. Humanity has proven it cannot be trusted. Elena looked around the room at the 12 alien faces. She saw satisfaction in their eyes. They thought they had won. They thought they had destroyed humanity's future with lies and fake evidence. And if we refuse? Elena asked. Kethvar leaned forward. Then the combined fleets of the Galactic Council will enforce these terms. We have over 3,000 ships ready to move against Earth. Humanity has what, maybe 200 ships? The choice is simple, surrender or be destroyed. Elena was quiet for a long moment. She thought about the human colonies that would be abandoned. She thought about the millions of humans who would lose their homes. She thought about Earth being occupied by alien forces. Then she thought about the message she had sent yesterday. She thought about Captain Harrison and the other merchant captains who were probably very busy right now. Elena stood up slowly. When she spoke, her voice was calm and steady. The Terran Federation rejects your terms, she said. The room erupted in noise. Several ambassadors started talking at once. Kethvar roared something in his own language. Chancellor Vorth slammed his hand on the table. "Silence," he shouted. When the room was quiet again, he looked at Elena. "Ambassador Vasquez, I do not think you understand the situation. Humanity cannot win a war against the entire galaxy." Elena smiled. It was not a nice smile. "You made one big mistake, Chancellor. You assumed we would fight your kind of war." "What do you mean?" asked Ambassador Thren. Elena walked to the center of the room again. "You think in terms of big fleets and massive battles. You think war is about who has the most ships. But humans learned long ago that the biggest army does not always win." She pulled out her communicator and pressed a button. "Captain Harrison, please respond." A human voice filled the room. "Ambassador, this is Captain Harrison of the merchant vessel Peaceful Trader. We're ready to proceed as discussed." Elena looked at the confused alien faces around her. "Captain Harrison, please explain to our friends what you have been trading in recently." "Well, ma'am, we've been carrying a lot of interesting cargo. Military-grade sensors, advanced computer systems, high-energy power cells, the kind of things that can be easily converted into weapon systems. We've been selling these items to many different species across the galaxy." Chancellor Vorth stood up. "What is the meaning of this?" Elena's smile got wider. "Captain Harrison, how many species have purchased these items from you?" "Oh, I'd say about 2/3 of the council members have bought something from us in the past 6 months. Very good customers they are." Elena watched as understanding began to dawn on the alien faces. "You see, while you were planning to betray us, we were preparing for the possibility that you might not be as trustworthy as you claimed." Kethvar's yellow eyes were wide with shock. "You're saying that human merchants have been selling weapons components to our enemies?" "Not just your enemies," Elena said. "Everyone's enemies. Do you know what happens when every species in the galaxy suddenly has access to advanced human weapons technology? Do you know what happens when old enemies start shooting at each other with guns that actually work?" Ambassador Mox's many heads were turning in different directions, as if trying to look everywhere at once. "You have destabilized the entire galaxy." "We have given everyone the same opportunities," Elena corrected. "What they do with those opportunities is up to them." Chancellor Vorth was beginning to look worried. "This is madness. You will cause wars everywhere," Elena shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe everyone will be too scared of everyone else to start any wars. Either way, you will be too busy dealing with your own problems to worry about conquering humanity." She pressed another button on her communicator. "Admiral Chen, please respond." Another human voice filled the room. This one was older and sounded very military. "This is Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Force. All units are in position and ready to execute Phase 2. Elena looked around the room at the shocked alien faces. "Admiral, please explain Phase 2 to our friends." "Yes, ma'am." Phase 2 involves the activation of all human merchant vessels currently operating in Council space. These vessels will begin targeting critical infrastructure nodes, including communications relays, trade route control stations, and resource processing facilities. Elena watched as panic began to spread across the alien faces. "You see, gentlemen, while you were counting our warships, you forgot to count our merchant fleet. Funny thing about human merchants, they tend to be very well armed." Chancellor Vorth's gray face had turned almost white. "How many ships are you talking about?" "Enough," Elena said simply. "And they're all in position right now. One word from me, and your precious galactic civilization starts falling apart." The room was completely silent now. Elena could hear her own heartbeat. She could hear the soft humming of the station's life support systems. Finally, Kethvar spoke. His voice was much quieter than before. "What do you want?" Elena sat down in her chair and looked at each alien ambassador. "I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that humanity tried to be reasonable. We tried to work within your system. We tried to be good galactic citizens." She paused and let that sink in. "But you decided to treat us like enemies. You decided to lie to us and threaten us. You decided that humans could not be trusted." Elena's voice got harder. "Well, congratulations. You were right. Humans cannot be trusted to quietly accept injustice. We cannot be trusted to roll over and die when bullies threaten us. And we definitely cannot be trusted to fight fair when our survival is at stake." Elena stood up and walked toward the door. "The Terran Federation withdraws from these talks. We will handle our own security from now on. And if any of your fleets come near human space, you will discover just how creative humans can be when we put our minds to it." She paused at the door and looked back at the terrified alien faces. Oh, and Chancellor Vorth? Next time you want to threaten someone, make sure you know who you're dealing with first. Elena walked out of the meeting hall, leaving 12 alien ambassadors to contemplate the future they had just created. Elena walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime with her head held high. Behind her, she could hear the sounds of panic coming from the meeting hall. Alien voices were shouting in a dozen different languages. She did not need to understand the words to know what they were saying. They were scared. Good. They should be scared. Elena made her way to the communication center of the station. She needed to send another message to Earth, and she wanted to make sure the aliens could hear every word. She also wanted to coordinate with Admiral Chen before things got out of hand. The communication center was a large room filled with screens and control panels. Several alien technicians were working at the various stations. When Elena entered, they all stopped what they were doing and stared at her. Word of what had happened in the meeting hall was already spreading. Elena walked to the main communication panel and began setting up a direct link to Earth. One of the technicians, a blue-skinned Andorian, approached her nervously. "Ambassador," he said in broken human English, "I am sorry, but the Council has ordered all communications to be monitored." Elena looked at him and smiled. "That's fine. I want them to hear this." She activated the communication link and waited for the connection to Earth to be established. While she waited, she noticed that more and more station personnel were gathering in the communication center. News of the failed peace talks was spreading fast. The screen flickered to life, showing the face of President Martinez back on Earth. He was sitting in his office in Geneva, and Elena could see several military advisors standing behind him. "Elena," the president said, "we've been following the situation. Are you safe?" "I'm safe for now, Mr. President," Elena replied. "But I'm afraid the peace talks have completely collapsed. The Council has shown its true intentions." President Martinez nodded grimly. "We received your initial report. Fake evidence and impossible demands. It's clear they never intended to negotiate in good faith." Elena could see the alien technicians listening to every word. "Perfect. Let them report back to their governments about what they were hearing." "Mr. President," Elena said, "I recommend that we proceed with the contingency plan we discussed. The Council has made it clear that they view humanity as a threat to be eliminated, not a partner to be reasoned with." "Agreed," President Martinez said. "Admiral Chen has already briefed me on the current status of our assets. Are you ready to proceed?" Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. "Yes, sir. Initiate Protocol 7 Alpha." President Martinez turned to someone off-screen. "You heard the ambassador. Execute Protocol 7 Alpha immediately." Elena could hear the alien technicians whispering to each other in their various languages. She could see fear in their eyes. They were beginning to understand that humanity had been planning for this possibility for a long time. The screen split, and Admiral Chen's face appeared next to President Martinez. The Admiral looked like he had not slept in days, but his eyes were sharp and focused. "Ambassador Vasquez," he said, "all units are reporting ready status. We have 37 merchant vessels in position across 12 systems. Each vessel is equipped with full military conversion packages and is prepared for immediate deployment." Elena nodded. "What about the infrastructure targets?" "We have identified 43 critical nodes in the Council's communication and trade networks," Admiral Chen replied. "These include jump gate control stations, resource processing facilities, and major shipping route coordination centers. If we hit all of them simultaneously, we can effectively shut down galactic commerce for at least 6 months." Elena could hear gasps from the alien technicians behind her. She turned to look at them. "You might want to pass this information along to your supervisors," she said calmly. One of the technicians, a reptilian saurian, was frantically typing on his console. Elena could see that he was sending messages to multiple destinations. Good. The more aliens who knew what was coming, the better. Elena turned back to the screen. "Admiral, what about Council military forces?" "Their fleets are concentrated in 3 main sectors," Admiral Chen said. "The Zephyrian battle fleet is massed near their home system. The Crystalline Collective's ships are protecting their mining operations in the Vega sector. The Nexari fleet is deployed along their border with the Hive Mind. In other words," Elena said, "they're not positioned for a coordinated assault on human space." "Exactly. If they want to attack us, they'll need at least 2 weeks to gather their forces. That gives us plenty of time to complete our operations." President Martinez leaned forward. Elena, what's the current situation on Nexus Prime? The Council is in emergency session, Elena replied. They're trying to figure out how to respond to our ultimatum. I suspect they're also trying to verify that our merchant vessels are actually where we say they are. Admiral Chen smiled grimly. They won't have to wonder much longer. All units have orders to decloak and identify themselves as Terran Defense Force vessels at exactly 1400 hours Galactic Standard Time. That's in about 15 minutes. Elena checked her chronometer. Admiral Chen was right. In 15 minutes, 37 harmless human merchant ships would suddenly reveal themselves as heavily armed military vessels. The psychological impact on the Council would be enormous. Mr. President, Elena said, I should probably return to the meeting hall. The Council will want to respond to our message, and I want to be there to hear what they have to say. Be careful, Elena, President Martinez said. If they're desperate enough, they might try to take you hostage. Elena laughed. Let them try. This station has over 1,000 human civilians working on it. Traders, technicians, tourists. If the Council wants to start taking hostages, they'll find out very quickly that humans take care of their own. She cut the communication link and turned to leave the communication center. As she walked past the alien technicians, she stopped and looked at the Saurian who had been sending messages. Make sure your superiors understand something, she said. This is not a bluff. Human merchant vessels are not actually merchant vessels. Human mining operations are not actually mining operations. Human research stations are not actually research stations. For the past 5 years, while you've been planning to betray us, we've been preparing for war. The Saurian's scaled face showed no emotion, but Elena could see fear in his yellow eyes. What do you want us to do? He asked. Tell your governments to stay out of human space, Elena said simply. Tell them that humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council. Tell them that any ships approaching human territory will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. Elena left the communication center and made her way back toward the meeting hall. As she walked, she could see the effects of her announcement spreading throughout the station. Alien beings were clustered in small groups, talking urgently in hushed voices. Some were looking at their personal communicators, probably receiving updates from their home governments. She passed a group of human civilians near one of the station's restaurants. They looked worried, but when they saw her, one of them approached. Ambassador, the human said, what's happening? We're hearing rumors about a war. Elena stopped and looked at the group. There were about 20 humans there, mostly traders and technicians. They deserved to know what was happening. The peace talks have failed, she said. The Council demanded that humanity abandon all of our colonies and surrender our fleet. We refused. A woman in the group spoke up. Are we safe here on the station? For now, Elena said. But I recommend that all human civilians prepare to leave Nexus Prime as soon as possible. Things are going to get complicated very quickly. Elena's communicator beeped. It was a message from Admiral Chen. All units have revealed their true identities. Council forces are in full panic mode. Several alien fleets are changing course to investigate our positions. Elena smiled and continued toward the meeting hall. As she approached, she could hear loud voices coming from inside. The Council was definitely having an emergency session. She entered the hall to find all 12 alien ambassadors talking at once. Some were on their personal communicators, speaking rapidly in their own languages. Others were arguing with each other in Galactic Standard. Chancellor Vorth was standing in the center of the chaos, trying to restore order. When Elena entered, the room fell silent. All eyes turned to her. She could see anger in some faces, fear in others. A few of the ambassadors looked like they were ready to attack her. Elena walked calmly to her seat and sat down. Gentlemen, she said, I trust you've received confirmation of our ship positions. Kethvar slammed his clawed hand on the table. You have deceived us. Your merchant vessels are warships. Actually, Elena said, our merchant vessels are merchant vessels. They just happen to be very well-armed merchant vessels. There's nothing in any galactic treaty that says merchants can't defend themselves. Ambassador Thren's crystal body was flashing red with anger. Your ships are equipped with military-grade weapons and sensors. Yes, they are, Elena agreed. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Human merchants learned early that it's better to be prepared for trouble than to be victims of it. Chancellor Vorth finally managed to restore some order to the room. Ambassador Vasquez, he said, the Council demands that you order your ships to stand down immediately. Elena looked at him with surprise. Why would I do that? Our ships are operating in international space. They have every right to be where they are. They are threatening vital galactic infrastructure. Are they? Elena asked innocently. I thought they were just revealing their true identities. If the Council feels threatened by the presence of human ships in international space, perhaps the Council should reconsider its recent decisions. Ambassador Mox spoke with all of his heads at once. You cannot hold the entire galaxy hostage. Elena stood up and walked to the center of the room. We're not holding anyone hostage. We're simply exercising our right to self-defense. The Council has made it clear that it considers humanity to be a threat that must be eliminated. We're responding appropriately. She looked around the room at the 12 alien faces. You wanted to know what humans are capable of when we feel threatened. Now you know. We don't build big fleets and fight honorable battles. We prepare, we plan. We make sure that anyone who wants to hurt us will pay a price they're not willing to pay. Kethvar stood up, his huge form towering over Elena. The Zephyrian Empire will not be intimidated by human tricks. Elena looked up at him without fear. Admiral Chen has 3 human ships positioned near your home system right now. Each ship is armed with enough firepower to destroy a planet. Are you sure you want to test our resolve? The room was completely silent. Elena could hear the humming of the station's life support systems. She could hear her own heartbeat. Chancellor Vorth broke the silence. What do you want? Elena smiled. We want to be left alone. We want the Council to recognize human sovereignty over our current territory. We want all Council fleets to stay out of human space. And we want a formal apology for the lies and threats we've endured in this meeting. And if we refuse? Asked Ambassador Thren. The silence in the meeting hall stretched for what felt like hours. Elena could see the alien ambassadors looking at each other, trying to decide what to do. Fear was written on every face in the room. Even Kethvar, the proud Zephyrian warrior, seemed unsure of himself. Finally, Chancellor Vorth spoke. The Galactic Council needs time to consider your demands. Elena shook her head. No, you've had 5 years to consider how to treat humanity fairly. You've had 2 days to negotiate in good faith. Time's up, she activated her communicator. Admiral Chen, please respond. The Admiral's voice filled the room immediately. Yes, Ambassador? The Council needs a demonstration of human resolve, Elena said. Please begin Phase 3. Understood. Initiating Phase 3 now. Elena looked around the room at the confused alien faces. Phase 3 is what we call aggressive negotiations. You're about to learn why humans have survived every challenge our homeworld ever threw at us. Her communicator crackled with reports from human ships across the galaxy. Each report made the alien ambassadors look more worried. Tiger Claw to command. Jumpgate control station at Rigel 7 is offline. Estimated repair time 6 months. Night Hunter to command. Zephyrian supply depot at Kepler 186 has been neutralized. No casualties, but their entire weapons stockpile is destroyed. Ghost Runner to command. Crystalline collective mining operation at Wolf 359 is shut down. Their ore processing facility needs major repairs. Elena turned to Ambassador Thren. That mining operation supplies 30% of your military's raw materials. I hope you have enough weapons stockpiled to last a while. More reports came in. Elena let the aliens listen to each one. Stormrider to command. Nexari communication relay at Proxima Centauri is down. Their entire southern sector is cut off from their command structure. Iron Wolf to command. Hivemind resource convoy intercepted. Cargo confiscated, ships disabled but crew unharmed. Shadowhawk to command. Saurian trade route checkpoint at Vega 3 is offline. All shipping through that sector is stopped. Chancellor Vorth was gripping the edge of the table so hard his knuckles were white. You're attacking civilian targets. Elena looked at him calmly. We're attacking infrastructure. And notice that our ships are reporting no casualties. Humans don't kill people unless we have to. But we're very good at breaking things that matter. Kethvar roared and slammed his fist on the table. The Zephyrian Empire will respond with force. Our battle fleet will crush your pathetic merchant ships. Elena smiled. Really? Let me check on that. She pressed a button on her communicator. Admiral Chen, what's the status of the Zephyrian battle fleet? Currently dead in space, Ambassador, Admiral Chen replied. Seems they had some kind of computer virus infection about an hour ago. Very sophisticated virus. Shut down their navigation systems, their weapons, and their communications. They can't even talk to each other, much less fight. Elena looked at Kethvar's shocked face. Computer virus? How strange. I wonder where that could have come from. Ambassador Mox's many heads were turning frantically. How did you get a virus into our systems? Our computer networks are completely secure. Are they? Elena asked. Think about all those wonderful human-made computer components your species have been buying from our merchants over the past year. Advanced processors, memory cores, communication relays, all very high quality, all very helpful, all with some interesting extra features that activate when needed. The room erupted in angry voices as the aliens realized what Elena was saying. Their own military systems were compromised by human technology they had willingly purchased. Elena held up her hand for silence. Before anyone gets too upset, let me explain something. The viruses in your systems are not permanent. They're designed to shut down military functions for exactly 72 hours, then delete themselves. Your ships will be fine in 3 days, but that gives us plenty of time to finish our work. Chancellor Vorth stood up shakily. This is an act of war against the entire galaxy. No, Elena said firmly. This is a response to your act of war against humanity. You declared us enemies. You threatened to destroy our colonies and occupy our homeworld. You fabricated evidence to justify attacking us. We're simply responding appropriately. More reports came in over the communicator. Each one was another piece of galactic infrastructure being shut down by human forces. Voidstalker to command. Council Naval Base at Altair 4 is offline. Their entire fleet repair facility is disabled. Star Predator to command. Andorian Fuel Depot at Deneb 7 is neutralized. Their fleet won't be going anywhere for a while. Blood Moon to command. Nexari Weapons Factory at Sirius 2 is shut down. Production stopped, but no permanent damage. Elena walked around the table looking at each alien ambassador. You see, the problem with having a galactic civilization is that everything is connected. Trade routes, communication networks, supply chains. When humans decide to break those connections, the whole system falls apart very quickly. Ambassador Thren's crystal body was flashing rapidly between different colors. You're destroying thousands of years of progress. We're temporarily disrupting a system that was being used to threaten us, Elena corrected. Everything we're targeting can be repaired. Everyone who loses their job because of this can find new work. But the lesson you're learning today will last forever. Elena's communicator beeped with an incoming message from Earth. She activated it, and President Martinez's face appeared on the screen. Elena, he said, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. How are our forces performing? Better than expected, Mr. President, Elena replied. Phase 3 is proceeding smoothly. We have successfully neutralized 87% of priority targets with 0 human casualties and minimal alien casualties. President Martinez nodded approvingly. Any response from Council military forces? Elena looked around the room at the alien faces. Not yet. It seems their fleets are experiencing some technical difficulties. Excellent. What about Phase 4? Elena paused. Phase 4 was the nuclear option. Literally. If the Council refused to accept humanity's terms, Phase 4 would involve the systematic destruction of alien military assets. Not just disabling them, but destroying them completely. Phase 4 won't be necessary, Elena said. I believe the Council is ready to negotiate seriously now. She cut the communication and turned back to the alien ambassadors. Gentlemen, you now have a choice. You can accept humanity's terms and live in peace, or you can continue this conflict and discover what Phase 4 looks like. Kethvar was breathing heavily, his yellow eyes filled with rage. What is Phase 4? Elena's expression became very serious. Phase 4 is what happens when humans stop trying to be civilized. Phase 4 is when we decide that you're not just enemies, but threats to our species' survival. Phase 4 is when human merchants become human warriors, and human warriors don't take prisoners. She let that sink in for a moment before continuing. Right now, your fleets are disabled, but intact. Your infrastructure is damaged, but repairable. Your people are alive and unharmed. Phase 4 changes all of that. Phase 4 is when we stop playing games and start fighting a real war. Elena walked back to her seat and sat down. So far, humanity has been showing restraint. We've been trying to make a point without causing unnecessary suffering. But if you force us to continue this conflict, that restraint will disappear. Chancellor Vorth looked around the room at his fellow ambassadors. Elena could see them communicating with each other through subtle gestures and expressions. They were trying to decide whether humanity was bluffing. Elena's communicator crackled again. Ambassador, this is Captain Rodriguez of the merchant vessel Happy Trader. We've completed our mission at the Rigel shipyards. All Council warships under construction have been disabled. Estimated completion time for repairs 8 months minimum. Elena smiled. Thank you, Captain. Please proceed to your next target. Already en route, ma'am. Should reach the Vegan weapons testing facility in 6 hours. Elena looked at the alien faces around her. The Vegan weapons testing facility is where the Council has been developing new technologies to use against human colonies. It would be a shame if something happened to all that research. Ambassador Mox spoke urgently. Wait, that facility contains decades of scientific research. You can't destroy it. Watch me, Elena said simply. She was about to give the order when Chancellor Vorth held up his hand. Stop, please. The Council is prepared to discuss your terms. Elena raised an eyebrow. Discuss? Or accept? Chancellor Vorth looked around the room at his fellow ambassadors. One by one they nodded reluctantly. Accept, he said quietly. The Galactic Council accepts humanity's terms. Elena leaned back in her chair. All of them? Human sovereignty over current territory. Council fleets will stay out of human space and the formal apology for our behavior during these negotiations. Elena activated her communicator. Admiral Chen, please respond. Yes, Ambassador. Suspend all Phase 3 operations. The Council has agreed to our terms. Understood. All units are standing down and returning to merchant configuration. Elena looked around the room one more time. Gentlemen, you've made the right choice. Humanity has no interest in conquering the galaxy or destroying other species. We just want to be left alone to live our lives and raise our families. She stood up and walked toward the door. But remember what you learned today. Humans are not like other species. We don't fight honorable wars with pretty formations and ancient traditions. When we fight to win. And we use every advantage we can find. Elena paused at the door and looked back at the terrified alien faces. The next time you think about threatening humanity, remember how easily we turned your own technology against you. Remember how quickly we shut down your entire civilization. And remember that we did all of this while showing restraint. She opened the door and stepped into the corridor. Because next time, we might not be so nice about it. 6 months had passed since the collapse of the peace talks at Nexus Prime. The galaxy was a very different place now. Elena Vasquez stood in her new office on Earth, looking out at the beautiful blue sky of her homeworld. Her title had changed from Ambassador to Director General of Terran External Affairs, but her job had become much more interesting. Her secretary, a young man named David Chen, knocked on her door. Director General, the Zephyrian delegation has arrived. They're waiting in Conference Room A. Elena smiled. Thank you, David. Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes. As she walked through the halls of the new Terran External Affairs building, Elena thought about how much had changed. The building itself was a symbol of humanity's new position in the galaxy. It was bigger than the old embassy building, with meeting rooms designed to accommodate delegates from dozens of alien species. But the real change was not in the building. It was in the attitudes of the aliens who came here. Elena entered Conference Room A to find 3 Zephyrian officials waiting for her. 6 months ago, these same officials would have been demanding that humanity submit to their authority. Now they were here to ask for help. The lead Zephyrian was General Krathmore, a smaller version of the former Ambassador Kethvar. His yellow eyes showed none of the arrogance Elena remembered from their first meetings. Director General Vasquez, he said, bowing his head slightly. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Elena took her seat at the head of the table. General Krathmore, what can humanity do for the Zephyrian Empire today? The general shifted uncomfortably in his chair. We have a problem with pirates in the Outer Rim territories. They are attacking our shipping convoys and stealing our cargo. Our own fleet is still recovering from the technical problems we experienced 6 months ago. Elena nodded seriously. The technical problems he mentioned were the computer viruses that had shut down the Zephyrian military for 3 days. Those viruses had been removed as promised, but the Zephyrians had learned an important lesson about depending too heavily on technology they did not fully understand. Pirates are a serious problem, Elena agreed. What kind of help are you looking for? We would like to hire human security escorts for our merchant convoys, the general said. We have heard that human ships are very effective at discouraging pirate attacks. Elena smiled. They are indeed. Human merchant vessels are well-armed and well-trained. I'm sure we can arrange something. What are you prepared to offer in exchange? The general placed a datapad on the table. We are prepared to offer exclusive mining rights to 3 asteroid fields in the Zephyrian system. We are also willing to share our shield technology with human engineers. Elena looked at the datapad. 6 months ago, the Zephyrians would never have offered to share their technology with humans. Now they were volunteering it in exchange for protection. This seems reasonable, Elena said. I'll have our Commerce Department work out the details with your people. As the Zephyrians left, Elena's secretary announced her next appointment. Director General, the Crystalline Collective delegation is here. Elena sighed. The Crystalline Collective had been even more difficult to deal with than the Zephyrians. Their crystal-based biology made them naturally stubborn and slow to change their minds. The Crystalline delegation was led by Ambassador Vren, whose crystal body was currently showing a nervous blue color. Elena had learned to read crystalline emotions by their color changes. Ambassador Vren, Elena said as she greeted the delegation, how can humanity help the Crystalline Collective? We need human technology, Ambassador Vren said bluntly. Our mining operations are 30% less efficient than they were before the disruption. We need better equipment to make up for the lost time. Elena raised an eyebrow. I thought the Crystalline Collective believed that human technology was inferior to your own? Ambassador Vren's crystal body flashed embarrassed purple. We may have been mistaken about some things. Human engineering appears to be more advanced than we initially realized. I see. And what does the collective offer in return? Access to our crystal growth techniques, Ambassador Vren replied. We understand that human computers could benefit from crystalline processors. Elena made a note on her datapad. We'll consider your proposal. I'll have our technology exchange department contact your people. After the crystalline delegation left, Elena had a few minutes to review her schedule. The afternoon was packed with meetings. The Andorian Republic wanted human help with their energy crisis. The Saurian Confederacy was interested in licensing human medical technology. Even the proud Nexari were quietly asking about trade agreements. Elena's communicator beeped with an incoming call from Admiral Chen. She activated the holographic display, and the Admiral's face appeared in front of her desk. Director General, he said, I have the monthly fleet status report. How are our forces deployed, Admiral? We currently have security contracts with 8 different species, Admiral Chen replied. 43 human vessels are operating as convoy escorts, system patrol ships, and anti-piracy forces. Our clients are paying well for these services, Elena nodded. Any problems? Actually, the opposite. We're getting more requests for protection than we can handle. 3 more species submitted requests this week.